Awesome. All right. Well, you know what we do on Monday. Mondays is all about mindset, and today's conversation is one I am thrilled about. It's a conversation that I have with my kids all the time. We have it over and over again. And here's the one thing I know is that as agents and as human beings, sometimes we need to hear the same thing over and over and over again. And if it sounds a little boring and it sounds a little repetitive, then we got to do it a little bit more until it becomes who you are. And today I want to ask you and see if you already know the answer. How many of you know what your NTS score is? Do you guys know what your NTS score is? Well, after today, you'll have an idea. NTS, and I talk about this with my daughters, and it's one of them, probably the most important thing. Um, it stands for non-talent skills. It stands for non-talent skills. And there are 10 areas that we get control over that take no talent that can absolutely propel us to a life that we desire. So we're going to go over those 10 NTS score areas. And then I'm going to ask you, and this is going to be either a yes or a no, a one or a zero, if you feel like you're leaning into these areas or not, or you're aware of these areas or not, or you feel like you're pretty good in this area or not, or you feel like you have an opportunity. So your NTS score, category number one, first non-talent skill, punctuality, being on time. And let me ask you, what do you think on time actually means? Because a lot of people think showing up exactly on the time is being on time. And I'm going to challenge that. It's, are you ready to go at the time? Not are you there on time? Are you, some people need to be there 15 minutes early to kind of get your stuff ready, get everything set up, pull up your screen, pull up your notes, pull up your things. See, some of us show up for our lead generation time at 9 o'clock or 9:30 or whatever it is, and we still take 35 minutes to fart around and find the numbers, get your script out, get your CRM loaded. Next thing you know, it's 9:45, and you're like, well, I do my lead gen from 9:30 to 11 every day, but really, you don't really get started till 10. So being on time, I can't tell you for me, on the other side of me, it's the number one way to win with me and lose with me. Being on time, for me, is the utmost level of respect. And being late, not being on time, without notice, without like, hey, I apologize, there's traffic, I'm 7 minutes out. I'm like before, like if you text like 3 minutes after we were supposed to meet saying you're going to be late, you get a pass. The second time, we're done. We're kind of done, right? Being on time is one of the best ways that you can increase your NTS score, non-talent skill. Being on time takes no talent. It takes a little bit of discipline. It takes a little bit of awareness, and it takes a boatload of respect for yourself and for the other person. Number two, work ethic. Work ethic. And that's the discipline of being consistent. It's the discipline of showing up. It's the discipline of execution. You know, we talk about the time that Kobe Bryant, there was a reporter that came in and he came in a couple hours early to interview Kobe. Kobe finally accepted this one interview, and the guy came in and he watched Kobe just doing baseline stuff like layup, foul shot, just basic stuff. And he went to Kobe and he says, why does the greatest player in the world spend so much time doing the basics? And Kobe said, how do you think I became the greatest player in the world? By executing on the basics consistently. It was that work ethic. It's always showing up a little bit earlier, always hitting those 100 shots before everybody else does, right? It's that consistency. NTS score. Are you consistent? Are you showing up consistent? Does your work ethic reflect your calendar? Does your work ethic reflect what you said you were going to do? Right? Number three. So again, 0 or a 1. And this is where you get your NTS score. It's a 0 or 1. A 0 is I got opportunity to really show up consistently and do what I said I would. One is, you know what, I feel like I'm pretty consistent, and you may still have some opportunity to grow, but there's your score. Number three, effort. Effort. Do you cut the corner? Do you say, I got to do a set of 10 and eight's good enough? Do you say, I've got to make 20 contacts, but 17 is more than I did last time? Or do you say, my goal is 20 contacts, but I'm going to do 21? For me, I see effort also as like, do you walk off the court or do you run back to the bench? Do you show up? Like, and do you really show up full blast? Or do you just kind of go through the motions? And here's what's interesting is like, from a leadership perspective, or even from like a co-working perspective, I know you've been on teams or you've been employed at groups, and you can, it's apparent those that are just doing enough to not get fired versus those that have pride in their effort. Effort is another non-talent skill. Number 4, body language. Body language. And it's how do you express yourself, especially through frustration? How do you show up physically? Does your face know how you're feeling? Or do you have RRF, resting realtor face? Some of you need to let your face know that you're actually enjoying this. And for those of you that are not on camera, that's step 1. Some of you may be hiding because you know you suffer from RRF, resting realtor face. Just let your face know you're into it, right? So body language is a big one, especially in leadership, right? Like there's always going to be challenges. You're slinging arrows, you're deflecting things from every single area, and yet everybody's watching to see how you show up and how you can handle it, how you take it, right? Body language is a big thing. Body language is a physical representation of mindset from my position, from my perspective, right? Which goes into number 5, energy. Energy. Everyone has energy to devote to a goal. The decision is how much do you give? How much do you put out? Energy is contagious. Do you give others energy, or are you an energy suck? One of the ways you know you're an energy suck is, do people avoid you? Are you a dementor of energy, or are you are you an overflowing ray of sunshine, right? And I'm not talking about being over the top or whatever, but it's like, do you approach everything with a high level of excitement and enthusiasm? How fun would this call be if it was like, all right, guys, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over these 10 things, and they're really, really important. And number 1 is going to be on time. And if you don't know what that is, then I can't help you. Number 2, like, what? Are you kidding me, bro? Energy is everything, which then goes into number 6. So number 5, energy. Check your energy, show up with energy. And some of you may say, well, behaviorally, I'm a high C, I'm an S, like that's a little bit much, it's kind of awkward, etc. Then be a very reserved, high energy individual. Right? Like for some of you, like you'll never hit this energy. Like this for me is like an 8. And for some of you, that's a 15. I get it. You're not me, I'm not you. But when you come into something, when you show up to an appointment, here's the thing. I want to hire someone who's visibly and energetically excited to do it. If I want to list my house, if I'm going to work with an agent as a buyer, I would love for somebody to be excited and enthusiastic and have some energy behind helping me. Not to where I feel like, oh, sorry, I feel it sounds like you're really busy, or like this is really inconvenient for you. Like body language, energy, all that communicates in a lot of different ways. Some of you are not getting clients because you're not aware of how you're communicating your enthusiasm or lack thereof, right? Number 6 is attitude. Your attitude. And attitude has everything to do with mindset. We talked about it at the beginning of the call. It's a really fun quote that I shared earlier this week is, if you can't change your circumstance and your situation, you can change you. You can change your mindset, and your mindset reflects on your attitude, how you show up. Look, in my role right now, we got mandated to do these shifts 3 days a week. I spend 6 hours a week in a Zoom room, and oftentimes nobody comes in. And as a regional director, this is just something that we're doing for these Explorer rooms to make sure that someone's available to talk to somebody that's looking to grow at any given time. At first, I had a choice. I'm like, what are we doing again? And I'm sitting there with the Zoom on, staring at it for 2 hours and no one's in there. I can go, this is a complete waste of time. Or I can say, what an amazing opportunity for me to get really purposeful on other ways that I can reach out. Like now I know every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3 to 5, I'm here, I'm ready to help somebody that comes on, and I can be reaching out through text messages, through DMs, through emails. I could be following up, I could be setting up opportunities or inviting people to come in for me, right? So a non-talent skill is, can you take the situation that you have and figure out a way to make it really positive and impactful? Non-talent skill, attitude. You don't have to have a lot of talent to have a great attitude. And I'd rather hire somebody with a great attitude than somebody that's really good talent and toxic. Toxic talent's the worst thing that you can ever have in your organization, in your team, at all. Toxic talent is just the worst. And I've been on teams where they hang on to talent because the talent drives revenue, but it causes massive turnover. Everybody else leaves. Nobody wants to be around it. But the leaders are scared to let go of this revenue generator where they would actually double their revenue with a group of passionate, energetic, attitude, like good people, right? Number 7, non-talent skill is passion. And so some of you are like, well, passion, like, I'm not always passionate about anything. Passion is tied with purpose. Purpose is tied to, are you clear on your goals and who they affect? Are you clear on why you're doing what you're doing and how it affects everyone else around you? Once you get really clear on your purpose, passion is inevitable. Passion is a spillover from purpose. Once you understand that it's not just about the next deal, but it's about setting up, like, the purpose of business is to fund the perfect life. And the purpose of life is to truly live before you die. And so many of us are just working in order to live instead of living, or we're living to work instead of working to live. And so many of the things that we know we should be doing, we're avoiding because you're not truly tied to the purpose and the passion of having to execute on that boring, that mundane, that over and over thing, right? So again, another non-talent skill is passion. Number 8, this one is probably really close to number 1 for me. And if you had to guess what it is, anybody have a guess, wild guess on what this one could be? It's like tied for first or like an immediate second for number 1, which is being on time for me. If anyone knows me, what do you think number 2 is? Or what do you think number 8 is, being my second position one? What's important? Any guesses? Brooke? You're muted. I don't know. You just waved your hand at me. I don't know if you said something.
Something with like preparedness.
Close. I love that. Don't read my notes. Don't go ahead. Number 8, it's being coachable.
Oh,
it's being coachable. When anything goes wrong, are you looking to blame or are you taking accountability? Are you saying that it's the market, it's the interest rates, it's my teammates, it's my team lead, it's my upline, it's my downline, it's the lack of this, it's something else? Or, man, how else can I show up? What other value can I bring? What am I not communicating? What did I miss in my presentation? How could I, what else? Okay, so I'm making contacts, but those contacts aren't showing up in the connections. I'm making connections, but they're not converting to how can I get better? What am I not, who am I not listening to? What am I not studying? How else could I be role playing? How else can I be sharpening my saw? Is it that I'm not good enough, or is it I'm not doing enough? I want you to hear that last one again. It's not that, see, a lot of times some of you are sitting here going, I don't know if I'm good enough. No, you're all good enough. Sometimes you're just not doing enough. Goes back to these other NTS scores. Being coachable is, for me, one of the most important. I can work with anyone who's coachable. What does that also mean is when given a new task or item or something to deploy, you do it and you come back with results. They're either the results you expected or the results you didn't expect. Being coachable is about execution and then coming back and adjustment. Number nine, another talent, another non-talent skill, NTS, is just doing a little extra. I forget where this quote came from. It's one of my favorite. There's no traffic on the extra mile. There's no traffic on the extra mile. One of the things that I always found was that when I had to get a job, I never stayed in that one position for very long. I kept getting asked to step up. I kept getting promoted. And I always thought that that was really weird. But what I also discovered was like, I was always looking for a way to do a little bit more. I remember listening to his either Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn says, always do more than what you're paid because then you'll get paid more. Not the other way around. Everybody else wants to do the bare minimum and then get a promotion versus if you're doing more than you're getting paid to do, then pretty soon you'll be paid more to do what you do, and then et cetera, right? So I always looked for a way. How do I continue to do more, provide more, continue to bring value? That's a non-talent skill. Just do a little bit extra. And you know you're doing it right when other people are around you going, what are you doing that for? You're making us look bad. That's a you thing. That's not a me thing. That's a you problem. Check your NTS score. Lastly, Brooke, you nailed it. Being prepared. Being prepared. And that's different than just planning. And we talked about that on Friday's call. A lot of people plan their week, but not a lot of people prepare for their week. Things happen. Life happens. Sickness happens. Illness happens. Family visiting out of nowhere happens. Spring break happens. Are you prepared to still execute on your non-negotiables regardless? Do you know that there may be traffic at this time of the day? So do you leave early or do you always kind of thread the needle? Because that then goes into number one. Your preparedness also then filters into some other ones, right? These are 10 things that you have full control over, regardless of your tenure, regardless of your experience, regardless of your longevity, regardless of your production, regardless of where you are in the organization. Now, if you had to look at this list of 10 and give yourself a 1 or a 0, what's your NTS score? And now you know what you can work on. What on this, which of these 10 really kind of screams at you or is like, duh, or man, this one's the biggest opportunity. Well, let me ask you, which one's your biggest opportunity?
I think for me, it's number 4, body language, and then number 5, energy. And I kind of look at 4, 5, and 6. If you can work on one, you're kind of working on 3.
Love it. Yes. Right. And so like when you say, like, when you look at those, how do you catch yourself? Like, why do those stand out for you? Like, is it something that you notice or is it something that's like brought up to you or like, how does that, how
I
do you
got
get?
busted. I got busted the other day on a Zoom call for resting bitch face.
It's RRF.
Gotcha.
Well, and you're probably sitting here going, are we talking about I'm having a great time? I'm getting like, I love this call. Like, it's the best call of the day.
Great Monday.
But like everyone else is like, man, Alan hates this call.
My choice still to show up.
Yeah, there you go. What else for anybody else on the call? What stood out for you? What do you feel like is your biggest opportunity?
Mine was 3, which I think kind of ties into 9, the way that I would view it. Yeah. And that's just, I mean, for me, effort, and it's been really just a lifelong thing. And we've talked about it before, but it's really just like doing just enough is comfortable. Especially when a lot of times like you doing just enough is, you know, maybe even a little above average, right? It's not anything too extra, so you're doing good. Um, you know, things are happening, but you know, like it's not like you're not going full effort.
Yeah. Yeah. And depending on our environment, it could be a trap, right? And we talk about in a world of threes, if you're surrounded by threes, a level 5, 6 effort gets applauded. And sometimes we fall in love with the applause from threes when 8s and 9s are looking at you going, bro, you got so much more. What are you doing? You have so like, why are you being so lazy? Why are you cutting the corners? Like you could be doing more. And you're like, but everybody's applauding. And they're like, yeah, but they're threes. Right? Falling in love with the applause of threes can keep you from ever hitting 9. Anyone else? My daughter was getting really upset because she was one of the girls on the team that kept getting subbed out. And she would get subbed out right before she would get to serve in volleyball. And you could visibly see her so frustrated and going to the bench and then like look like her body language and her energy. And I said, hey, listen, everyone on the court can see you. Your teammates can see you, your coaches see you, and all the parents can see you. What can you control? She goes, well, I can't even prove it because they won't let me serve. And I said, what can you control? You need to be the number one person on the bench cheering and yelling for your teammates. You need to be, when subbed in and out, sprinting to your position. When the ball's not near you, you need to be aware and looking. You need to be on the balls of your feet in ready position. Don't stand flat-footed. Don't wait for the ball to come. Like, you need to be moving. You got to have energy. You need to be clapping for everybody on the bench or off the bench. The coaches are human, and they're not even really that good. Look, it's rec, right? Like, this isn't about scholarships. Like, you got a mom volunteering to coach. They don't know what they're doing. Like, so you got to stop. Like, you got to just show up as the number one cheerleader. Energy, fast, in and out, always ready, be prepared, have passion, have energy. We're on time. We stay late. We practice with purpose. Like, all of these things translate into your whole life. And here's the thing. If there's anything that's more true than this, I don't know what it is, but how you do anything is how you do everything. And it's how do you live these 10 things in everything, with your diet, with your relationships, with your finances, with your kids, with your friends, with anything. Shows up everywhere. So often we think we can only turn it on here or this part of our business. But then we're lacking over here. Like, if there's a challenge in 2025, I'd love to challenge you all to have these 10 characteristics become part of your identity, to where if anyone were to ask, like, how do these people show up? And they go, man, they're always on time, high energy, passion, super coachable, really always prepared. Like, they give effort. They always do a little bit more, right? Like, their attitude's incredible. Just their body language. They're always cheering everybody up. They're a ray of sunshine. Like, I get energy around. Like, those are the kind of things that you should be known for. And if you're known for these things, you will write your own check. You will have every opportunity laid out in front of you. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And even if you don't, you're going to be in a great place. Final thoughts. I know we're just over time, and being on time is really important to me, and I don't want to take any more of your time. Anyone else? Final before we roll?
I just want to say that mine was 2, 3, and 9. So
2, 3, and 9. So then I'm going to ask you this week, as you're going through your week, how can you level up in 2, 3, and 9 for you? Alan, how can you do 4, 5, and 6? A little bit better, a little bit more, right? And I'm going to be taking a look at some of these and go, okay, where can I take my 1 and make it a 1+? right? How can I get an AP score in this? How can I get a 12 out of 10? Right? I love AP, right? So have an amazing week. Wednesday, we'll see you same time, same channel. Go crush.